The reading from Luke is so full of things to preach about in this passage this morning. I could choose from several good sermon topics, so I think I'm going to preach about 5 sermons, so just hang on, and I'll just do one at a time. Is that okay? Let's just do one. So, I could choose, but I want to concentrate on the following verses out of these passages. Jesus says that where your treasure is, there is your heart also. And take for yourself purses that will never wear out. Purses that will never wear out. What is a purse that will never wear out? This past Thursday, I had a doctor's appointment in the afternoon, and I went early to have breakfast with my son Josh, and we were in Ocean Beach in a funky store named The Black. I'm sure you can imagine the vibe there, but I have been working on my sermon about a purse that will never wear out. And I noticed an enormous assortment of purses hung from the ceiling all over that store. And I was amazed at how many types of purses there are. Perhaps because I have never really shopped much for purses. The only time I looked for a purse was when we first moved to Manhattan, New York City, and I noticed 2 things about the people in the city right away. First thing I noticed was that very few people drove their cars, even if they had one. For one thing, renting a place to store cars is like renting a separate apartment. It's pretty doggone expensive. And then even if you decide to go ahead and drive your car, where in the world are you going to park it? And when you do park it, it's going to be costly. And sometimes it's quite a ways from where you need to go, so you're going to walk a long way. So, it makes a lot more sense just to ride the subway, the bus, or grab a taxi. So that's one thing I noticed. Not too many people keep and use private cars unless they're rich enough to have a driver. I didn't have a driver. I do today. Naomi's my driver, but I didn't back then. Seriously, she likes to drive. And so I let her. She's a better driver than me. And besides, I'm a backseat driver too, so I kind of know how. There's a second thing I noticed. If you worked or went to school in New York City and you did not expect to be back home before the end of the day, you took everything you might possibly need with you when you left in the morning. Hence, everybody needs a bag or 2. Or more, I noticed that guys also had purses, which they called merces, or man bags. At first, I resisted carrying a purse, but eventually, I got too used to going out of our apartment with a man bag over my shoulder. And in this bag, I carried important papers I needed for the day, spare change, a transit mat, a headphone with earplugs, a book, and a flexible umbrella that I could fold out. Really important, and another thing I resisted for a while. I'm a man. Real men don't carry purses or umbrellas. Oh, how naive I was about city living. So I filled my man bag with all those things and anything else I thought I might need. Because where else are you going to keep that stuff? The purse in Jesus' day would probably look like a shoulder bag or a satchel, or I also looked at, there were other purses that looked more like a leather sling with a rope to tie them up. Purses might carry money, food, or whatever might be necessary for a full day of traveling or maybe an overnight necessities. This lesson from Jesus is about a spiritual purse. It's about the choices we make. What kind of bag do we have? And what do we choose to put in this bag? Never let your purse wear out. It's meant to carry important stuff. And if you don't want a hole in the bottom of your purse, right? You don't want a hole in the bottom of your purse. First, put your perspectives in order. Our purse is symbolic of how we use our time, our resources, and our talents. Never let your purse wear out is a definition of stewardship. Again, it all has to do with making choices. Some needs are easily recognized, and we do a pretty good job of feeding people, recognizing folks that are on the margins. In a way, every person has a margin in their life. You ever thought about that? We all have margins. I do, you do. We usually greet each other like we're doing just fine. But that often is not really what is going on. And it's not easy to share things that we might want to keep private, is it? It's like the expression, why hang out my dirty laundry for others to see? You've heard that expression. Especially our margins that have to do with poor health, discouragement, and grief. I'm just fine, thank you for asking. Right. So living our lives as stewards unto the Lord means having a purse full of good work, using our resources, our gifts, and time and abilities, the things that we have to offer, especially our margins that have to do with poor health and other things, to pray for someone, to offer a meal, encourage those on the margins, which of course means everyone, right? We all have margins. Naomi and I had a friend, Dr. Nicholas Wolterstorff, a retired professor of Calvin Theological Seminary and tenured professor of philosophy of religion at Yale University. His wife Claire, who is an Episcopal priest, they were members of the same Christian Reformed church that Naomi and I attended in Grand Rapids, Michigan, before we joined the Episcopal Church. In 1987, Nick published Lament for a Son after a tragic death of his 25-year-old son Eric in a mountain climbing accident during spring break in the Swiss Alps. Nick recounts how he drew on his Christian faith to cope with his grief. He also attributes the comfort of others that stood by him and helped him through this troubled time. Nick said he had taught people how to cope with death, how to deal with grief, and the steps of healing. After all, he was a doctor of philosophy and religion, an expert. But he said, when this happened to me, I was blown away. I had all these answers in my head, but my heart was empty and hurt. I did not know where to turn for help. Nick said people said the darndest things like it was God's will. It was God's will for my 25-year-old son to leave. Or they'd say, oh, it was his time to go. And other dumb remarks. But then Nick said, that didn't bother me so much because I really was not listening to what people said, but I could feel their love and empathy. It's like they opened up their hearts to me with the gifts of presence, wanting me to know that they might not be able to help in any other way except to share God's love with me and my family. Listen to this again. It's like they opened up their hearts to me with the gifts of presence. The people I listened to were the people that were there for me. Laura Nyro wrote a great song that Blood, Sweat, and Tears made famous. And when I die, when I'm dead, dead and gone, there will be one child born in this world to carry on, to carry on. We can make sure our purses don't wear out by tithing a portion of our riches to the Lord, so that even after we are dead and gone, our purse remains active and does not wear out. From our purse, we can draw out of the riches of our life, our resources, our gifts, and our time. So what does this all mean, Father Dave? I'm so glad you asked. I think it means this. We're called to be generous. That means much more than just giving money. It does mean just giving money, but it means much more than just giving money. Make sure your purse is full of good things that can be shared. Never let your purse wear out.